Initially, I wasn't so impressed by it, funnily enough. But you know, it's interesting and it's got a little magical side to it. It's very hard to be around it for any extended period and not get, you know, caught up in the exciting part of it. The hobby, the passion, you know, the headache. Um, I've been doing it so long, I don't really remember what it was like when I started. I try to, you know, go back to the beginnings, and it's been a while. The longer you, I think, stay in any given field, you'll get rid of some problems and inherit some new ones. You know, it's an ongoing process, but it's a wonderful life, or has been for me.
What have there been any sort of major? Turn the chair tiny bit the other way. Sorry, that's it. It's good. Have there been? What are the changes that you've seen? I mean, I know yours is quite a personal and quite a story, but
The most noticeable change is the quantity of people coming into the profession, but that goes hand in hand with the amazing art in the profession. Looking at them as artists, you know, per se, not tattooers, the quality is quite amazing, truly impressive. I got involved after my father learned in London, in King's Cross. The family went out to India and we ended up in Goa. And they were tattooing out there, my folks. So my job was, at age 11, to drum up a bit of publicity. I had to do the beaches every now and then with a stack of cards. Found that exceedingly difficult, walking up to strangers sunbathing and like introducing myself and giving them a business card. A lot of them thought I was a local boy, would shoo me away like if I was coming to like beg or try and sell them something, which I was actually trying to sell them something. But they didn't know I was a foreigner. And I didn't tattoo right away. I would draw for my dad. We had a catalogue with very small designs in it, and they didn't have any photocopies. There were no computers. If you wanted a photocopy, you had to go to the main town, which was over an hour away. So I used to draw things up for him using a grid system, like a small grid and then a larger grid, and just copy everything box by box. So that kind of got me involved in it. I didn't get the tattoo right away, you know. I liked that we had a tattoo house. I liked being tattooed young. Form of rebellion, it was fun, even in a kind of loose traveller hippie community. When you're a little kid with a couple of tattoos, they kind of do a double take. It's like, what? Aren't you a bit young? So I always felt quite powerful having a tattoo artist as a father. It gave me strength. Are you speaking from a tattooee or a tattooer's point of view? Because no matter how showy or group-orientated people might think this is, when they sit down to get a tattoo, it's a big moment of solitude. You know, you're on your own. Yeah, and it's you and you alone that has to go through it. So very private. Then again, looking at conventions and magazines and TV shows, a lot of people like to be seen getting the tattoo, not just wearing it, but they like to get it done in a convention setting with an audience. So it's right across the board down to the individual. People may get the same tattoo designs, but they do them for very different reasons. Very particular. Fashion, I believe, has just made it more accessible to do something they wanted to do anyway, you know. But it ain't fashion that gave them the desire to get tattooed. I think that starts for other reasons. Usually when people are young, they see a family member, something like that. Some uncle come back from overseas, wore a tattoo on his forearm, and it marked them when they were age 10 or 9 or something, and they remembered it their whole life. And I always had this little idea that one day I'll maybe get one, you know. But I live on top of a mountain, so I'm not totally in touch with the tattoo scene, and big cities are different, and true. I wouldn't know about mainstream. Accessible. Now he does not even need to go into a tattoo shop to visit it. You can do it online, or you can do it in a program. So yeah, it's definitely broadened right across the board, the people that are getting into it, that would not have wanted to go into a scary shop in a bad part of town, you know. Now they can go to the nice part and find a very open, colorful, art-based tattoo studio, which they were few and far between before. One of my early inspirations in tattooing was Japanese. I really like the bodysuit idea, the one design. Other cultures have done it too, tribal, Americana, old school, Russian prison. You see people that fill in the entire thing, but I really was taken by the Japanese. So that, I do a version of that when I'm allowed. It's a Euro-American Japanese. It's all been filtered down. I've got the books, I kind of go back to the source now, but still it's got, I'm not a traditionalist per se, but my idea is based on Japanese suits, yeah. Central piece on the back, you know, accompanying pieces on the arms and legs and ribs, and the things all tied together with a common background. That's really what I would like to get as many of those done before I'm gone. Well, apart from the obvious ones like really into it, the other one just wants a taste. But no, the process is the same no matter how big or small. You still go through the act of changing yourself for life, making a decision that, you know, doesn't take into account anybody else but yourself, and kind of making a visual statement of I did it. So size doesn't really matter. The big ones are different psychology behind it. I wouldn't dare to guess. Once again, the reasons really are diverse. Why does one man end up with a tribal suit and another a Japanese? Beyond taste, there's like luck, mood of the month. I think I have learned that over all these years, that the main drive we all have is the desire to be tattooed. Design comes in secondary, absolutely, because there are multiple choices at every turn that would suit just fine. What should I put on my elbow? Flower, you know, cloud, wave, they're all good. So the real drive is to be tattooed, and that one's wondrous, who knows why. You know, the real reason behind that is very complicated. Trend-wise, I kind of like the Japanese for that, because it's eternal. There's some styles that have been here a long time ago and they're still around. And then there's all the new ones that pop up and go through summer phases and stuff, which I do a lot less of since I don't do walk-ins. There was a summer of trees, and then there was a summer of owls, and then now we're in the summer of foxes and wolves. And how that gets set is a mystery to me. It's quite interesting. Somebody should hunt it down. Who sets the trend and why? Which photo of which person inspired a group, you know, to follow? Since day one, we've tattooed right across the board. Since I started that much, I remember I could do a punk one day and a meter maid the next, and you know, a waiter, and then you do a lawyer, and then a surgeon shows up. So there's always been, it really is everybody. Some groups maybe more than others, like I did a lot of punks when I started because they were really into loads of little tattoos, right? I do a majority of tattoo artists myself, which is a very enjoyable situation, since I'm dealing with people in the know. No more sales. You don't have to sell an idea. People understand it. If somebody rejects an idea and he's of the profession, he got it, he doesn't like it, we do something else, and it's all very easy and it's fun actually. I really enjoy working with people in the same field. I learn. People push me to do things that are difficult, or ways to do things extra rapidly, you know, ways to achieve a lot with a little. There's all kinds of different, you know, pastimes, just to keep it interesting. In the outside world, it's an icebreaker. I go to the pool, I go to bodysuit, hey, I can talk to everybody. They all come and talk to me. So I do talk to other people with tattoos, you give them the nod or whatever. I see another back piece, I'll go over and ask him who did it. It's, you know, we have a common interest. You especially feel that in the conventions when you're like 12,000 strong in a room and everybody's into the same thing. It's kind of fun. As far as it being the industry unified, it's like a family, obviously, you know, and there's cousins that don't talk and all the rest of it. I'm sure every profession has to be, there's not like a world voice for us or nothing, no. Each country has different associations, and Tintin is head snat in France. There's one that looks after French legislation and stuff. So, but yeah, I know a lot of, I would put it this way, most of my friends are in the business. You know, you can't know everybody, there's more and more people. I've been watching this stuff with amazement. The rise and push of tattooing's boom, its invasion of every market and every media, its popularity growing right across the world. No, I think it's astonishing. I never would have dreamed when I started out that it would become this interesting to the world. You know. So where it's going from here, I really don't know. There's an interesting side to it, seeing as it's a lot more difficult to change your look if you're tattooed than if you have like a nose ring piercing. And as time goes by, a lot of these heavily tattooed people, you know, move into society. You know, jobs where they make decisions, whether they let the tattooed guy get the job now and stuff, and seeing as they got a whole suit, it's going to lighten up, you know. So I don't know, it's interesting, very, wait and see. Yeah.
So do you think, so people's perceptions, do you think, have definitely altered?
They're definitely relaxed. A lot more uptight about it. I mean, I'm still an oddity, but for different reasons. Like I said, I'm almost finished. When I go to the pool, the kids follow me around because you don't see a fully tattooed man every day. But I don't feel a lot of, okay, Switzerland, every country's different. I'm sure there's parts of the planet where it's still not very good to be tattooed, and I'd be better off hiding them. But as far as the big cities go, and the forefront of fashion and, what would you call it, trend, tattoo's very prominent. Which is bringing it into the households through the television, these shows that people now watch right across the world. You know.
Do you think that they're creating an unreal perception of tattoos and tattooing?
Put it this way, since I've watched the tattoo shows, I look at all the other ones with a very different slant now. Once I've seen what they present of something I really know a lot about, and for the most part it's all right, but they make, you know, huge errors in it. Now I think every other show can be the same almost. Frightening thought. Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe that's gone. I believe there's almost a false image. There's so many conventions and magazines, and we all think it's totally mainstream and the whole world will get tattooed, you know. These things could change. And I think it's also normal that there's a certain amount of people that are not into tattooing. We can't all like the same things, can we? It'd be strange, you know. Apart from blue jeans, which seems to see a world over, right? The biggest club in the world, the Blue Jean Club. But I do believe that there are definitely social circles where tattoos are just not on, and will stay that way, I think. Oh, the hard sell is on, and has been for a while, I agree with you. And that's a funny question. Do they all like the tattoos because the television told them to? Or are they just feeling like it's okay now because the TV said it's fine? Because people have always liked it. There's always been a certain amount of people that get tattooed. Before it was popular, we worked in this country fine. Never had a shortage of work. And like I said again, right across the board, everybody. Policemen to criminals. Seriously, you know, all of them. So maybe a few people now watch the show and think, well, it's popular, Mum won't kill me, I think I can do it. That's my defense. It's you know, J-Lo did it or something like that. But whether it's it might be inciting people to start working in the business, because they make it look very glamorous indeed. You don't see the cleaning of the toilets and the cleaning of the tools, and they don't explain that this is a job where we literally swim in people's bodily fluids and blood, and it's a high-risk job, very dangerous actually, if you want to talk about that. That's not presented properly in some ways. You can catch a disease, you can less easy to infect somebody than you always hear speak about the customer. What about the artist? We are the ones receiving people in our local day in after day after day after day. Something to be thought about.
And just what about techniques? I mean, have techniques changed since you started tattooing?
The machine I use today was patented in 1927 and is the same, literally. The needle quality has gotten, I like to say, better. They change a lot. The knowledge has been shared a bit more. We get into a tricky zone here. Yeah, it's changing. It's in an evolution. Some parts of tattooing have actually moved backwards a little bit. Just from my experience, I mean, I wait to see, but the loss of apprenticeship is not always the best of things, because knowledge does not get passed down, and that was important, I think. Not to say that you can't figure it out yourself. If I have seen the most amazing artists with only 2 years tattooing, and I have been speechless because they got the right help and the right information and the aptitude to put it into effect, to work. It's not enough knowing the secret, you've got to understand it and then use it, Knowledge floats around quite freely today, but not everybody's using it. I think rebellion is a massive part of it. It's this being able to separate yourself from the group. This is me. That is one major motivating factor. And funnily enough, that's what I wanted at first. By the time I had my second tattooing, I wanted to belong to the tattoo family. So I went from wanting to be totally, separate to wanting to be part of the group, all in 2 tattoos. These I think, are ageless. You have no age to feel like this. I've done massive tattoos on men in their 50s, that have decided, right, that's it. I'm doing it and changing myself and getting a whole back piece suddenly, quite late in life. It's not only a young man's game. Change comes at all age. And it does represent some form of change. If somebody comes to see me to get a seriously big tattoo, I believe that's a moment in their life where they're sorting a lot of stuff out. I know it's been my experience. You readjust to your own visualization of yourself, how you see yourself, self-perception, strength. Tattoos are a lot like armor, a visual, marking of, I totally enjoy walking topless in a festival and having a fully tattooed torso. It's a wonderful rush. I got to admit, All I see when I look at all my tattoos is I don't know how I survived them. They were such an ordeal. Each and every one was so horrific and so painful. It's some parts of the body that I don't even remember. So I guess it more gives me a feeling of confidence or self-image again. I managed to beat that, it makes me feel. Because I know that when people look at the whole body, that it's a big part of when people go, when they see your tattoos, is they're imagining the pain you went through, yeah? So it's real primitive, this thing about feeling good about, look how tough I am, and it's true. Look what I managed to survive. That makes me, tough, I don't know. So that's the feeling you get out of it, or I do. Not that I'm walking around looking for a fight or anything. I actually found rather than chase people away, it kind of brings them towards me. When I go out and display my body, people go, wow, how long did that take? And like, can I have a look? And
Has that been forever, or has that been recently?
Pretty much forever. My life I grew up with long hair in a kind of hippie family, so I've always had, you know, people going, "Oh my God, look at them." Tattoos have been more of an asset than anything to me throughout my life. I was able to sit on the back of the bus in San Francisco when I was 17, and that's where all the tough guy, crazy loonies sit, and they all left me alone because I had loads of tattoos, so it was great, you know, it's like I fit right in, and I was an imposter, like. A little nostalgic, a little sad sometimes that I chose a medium that's so transitional, only the lifespan of the wearer. Photos live on, I know, but I should have worked in bronze. I would have lasted for 1,000 years. A lot of blood, sweat and tears, a lot of energy. It's a huge responsibility, bigger than, I don't know, to change people for life has been on my mind since the beginning. Am I worthy? Is it the right design? Do they know what they're doing? Yeah. But to worry about if they do it for the right reason. I refuse to do things I don't think are good ideas, or I think they're doing for the wrong reason. I'll go that far to say no. Hopefully I do them a favor, and if they don't get it, they go and get it from somebody else, well, so be it. But I don't need to be party to something I don't believe in. I'm not into facial tattooing in a big way, or even hands for that matter. You need to have a lot of tattoos before I do your hands. Some old approaches, you know, you didn't see a guy with hands and neck until he was full and it overflowed. You know, the serious old sailor that's retired and he's covered everywhere. Well, the guy filled his body up, kind of. It kind of scares me that a lot of people start with the forearms and the neck, and then you see them without any clothes on and they're all naked. Now they have to fill in. So in a way, they've just committed from the beginning rather than be shy about it. But yeah, obviously the new generation does surprise me in tattooing. They're a lot more bold about it. They're a lot more showy. It took me 20 years of tattooing before I got a tattoo that passed outside of the clothesline. I kept it all very discreet. Then again, now I travel with a t-shirt and fly on the airplane, and it's just fine. So yeah, times are changing.